So hopefully you guys will be able to hear this. Just swapped over my full face because it's starting to get cold, and you know, an MX helmet in the winter is not too great. It's cold as shit. So just wanted to give everybody a little bit of backstory on my accident that's been going around. That was last year, by the way. It was last June of 2016 on Sandia Crest in New Mexico. I was a lot cockier, much more cockier rider back then. It's pretty quick. You know, you can go over to my S1000 video, which I'll probably end up linking in the comments. But I used to be pretty fast up there, and saw one of my old friends, decided to chase him down on a Ducati Street Fighter, caught up to him, turned on my camera. They had been repaving that road all summer. That was a brand new fresh pavement that I hit. I was raining the day before, it was pushing up oil, and yeah, it was pretty fucking slick. So I ended up stepping out, and you know, as you guys saw in the video, obviously nailed the guardrail. Didn't hit my helmet. A lot of people seem to think that. I'm actually wearing that helmet right now. With how many times I've fallen, I've been really lucky never to ever have hit my head. I drop my Supermoto in the dirt all the time. You know, this thing has definitely seen better days. This is all bent as shit. You know, my bars are slightly tweaked. This is all cracked. You know, so it's seen better days. But that was my first real accident. I hate listening to it. But I've literally listened to it probably 3 or 4 times. Typically I turn down the audio, or I just pause the video because I can't stand hearing myself scream. It was the most pain I've ever been in my life, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna live or not. Can you call an ambulance? Yeah. Oh. It took about 20 minutes for the ambulance to get up there, which is actually super impressive. The worst part was since it's a really windy road, you hear the ambulance and then it goes away. You hear it, then it goes away. You're like, oh, thank God, they're almost here, you know. And then it goes away, and you're just sitting there waiting. Luckily, my buddy I was chasing happened to turn around after he realized it wasn't behind him. He's an ex-EMT. He's not an EMT anymore. So he took care of me, and then the first car that stopped right after, before he got there, was a nurse, so she took really good care of me. So unfortunately I didn't get all that on video. I had too much adrenaline going to think about turning on my camera again. I was having a lot of freezing issues with my drift camera. It liked to, you know, randomly freeze up, so I wasn't sure. I knew I had the footage, and that's all I cared about. So even if I passed my wife, well, at that time my fiance would have it. My wife was 5 months pregnant at the time. I shouldn't have been up there doing that anyways, you know, especially with that. I used to spend, you know, 8-10 hours a day up there. I deleted most of my footage of me owning an S1000 and everything. I'll get into that later. All it was speed, you know, and that got boring for me. And so I joined the sumo life. But again, I'll get into that later. All in all, 6 days in the hospital, 3 in ICU, 3 in whatever the step below ICU was. I was on a lot of morphine. I couldn't even find the ward I was in if I wanted to, or there was no way. They had me so drugged up. I ended up fracturing 3 ribs, fractured my pelvis in 3 places, lacerated my spleen, and punctured and collapsed my lung. It was, you know, as I said, the most pain I'd ever been in before. Before that, I'd only broken my wrist, or fractured my wrist, and you know, that was just like, oh, this sucks. But this was like, you know, my first real accident. So ever since then, I have, you know, slowed down with my riding. Sold my fast bikes. Had an S1000 and a 2008 R6. Sold both of those. Bought me a 2014 DRZ 400 SM with 1,400 miles, and I haven't looked back. You know, I'm wanting to get like an FC7 or an FC9 eventually. That's the plan, at least. Just waiting for my job to take off so I can start making money. But it's you know, it's in the works. It's definitely something I want, but it's not going to replace this. There's no way in hell. You know, I just want a little bit, I want to be able to take the freeway every once in a while, especially for commuting. If I end up getting that, this will be strictly lot, so I'll gear it up, you know, super high in the rear and call it good. Won't really see the streets too much after that. You know, I mean, I'm about to gear it anyways, but it's, you know, not quite as heavy as I'd like. But who knows, maybe it'll be perfect and I'll be able to use the first street and lot. You know, so might work out. So yeah, not sure where this channel's headed. Yeah, I know it's gonna be a lot of stunt videos. And, you know, possibly some moto vlogs here and there. I don't really have a whole hell of a lot to talk about, but I figured I'd give it a shot at least. You know, I've got some moto vlogging buddies out here. We've got Breaking Moto out here that's local. We got CB Rider out here that's local, and then some other guy, I forget his name, but we got a pretty decent group out here. I know Breaking Moto's decently big. It's been featured a few times, you know, in the news and everything. But yeah, so that's it for today's video. If you want to see more, obviously, you know, subscribe, give me a follow, and share the shit out of all my old videos.